if we think about the PetroDollar System, right, which really was a deal cut in 1971, curiously, the same time that WEF was formed. But here's my contention. I believe the next world reserve currency won't be backed by naval superiority. It'll be backed by cyber superiority. The next war, I believe, will be fought with chips, not ships. And so that's why China is so focused on AI, 5G, chip manufacturing, advanced materials. You know, they have 96% of all the citations in AI.
It is no news that the world is gradually shifting from the established unipolar world toward a multipolar world, where a few other countries, especially China and Russia, hold almost as much sway as the United States on international politics. In fact, some scholars will argue that the U.S. hegemony over the rest of the world ended a few years ago. Others who believe the U.S. is still the only central power say this is mainly because of its military strength. Whatever side of the argument you choose, there is no denying that a global reset is imminent, especially with the strengthening relationship between China, Russia, India, and other BRICS nations. The Intergovernmental Economic Trade Association has been making the headlines a lot more since the U.S. and its allies led a series of sanctions against Russia for invading Ukraine in 2022. According to the South African ambassador to Russia, 13 countries have expressed interest in joining the Intergovernmental Trade Association. 6 of these 13 countries have already formally applied to join the organization as of January 23, 2023. The 6 countries are Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Egypt, Iran, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. Saudi's acceptance into the close-knit group already seems like a done deal and will undoubtedly impact the current dynamics of the global trade system significantly, especially the petrodollar system. China and Russia have already moved away from the dollar in trade relations with each other, and Saudi has expressed no concerns about trading in other currencies despite its previous agreement with the U.S. In fact, the kingdom said it is open to them. In a recent interview, veteran hedge fund manager Mark Yusko discusses the changing dynamics of global trade and international politics. The Morden Creek founder and managing director explains that the United States has for too long maintained its dominance on the rest of the world by hook or crook, and it's now time for it to give up that tenuous hold. Before we listen to Mark Yusko's interview, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm, so we can continue to bring you these videos. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
If we think about the petrodollar system, right, which really was a deal cut in 1971, curiously, the same time that WEF was formed. It's really not coincidental, right? The whole Nixon era in the U.S. So not coincidental that WEF was formed, and we cut a deal with Saudi and said, look, here's the deal. We will protect you at all costs, irregardless of what you do, to whom you do it. Even if you do it to us, we'll still protect you as long as you price all oil-based transactions in the world in dollars. And ever since, that's what they did, and anyone who threatened that was disappeared, right?
Yeah.
So you think about Saddam Hussein said, no, I think I want to price oil in euros.
Yeah.
Vanished. Gaddafi said, I'm going to price oil in gold. Vanished. Yeah. They threatened the dollar hegemony, and they were disappeared. So now suddenly we have this COVID event, which obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but clearly now looks to me like was totally manufactured. And we called the flu something else and made, I think, the greatest policy error in history globally to lock down economies. And look, and it's interesting in that what it did is it created the beginnings of solidifying this two-axis world. And, look, whether it was WEF, whether it was China, it doesn't really matter in the sense that China is the huge beneficiary here and Russia. And China and Russia basically came together on one side. The U.S. and the West came together on the other side. Now, a lot of it has to do with the fact that 20 years ago, I make this case that tech was evolving and you had to choose. And in the United States, we chose to be awesome in social media. Like, we're great at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Oh, actually, that's a Chinese thing, but we're awesome at
most of them, yeah.
Right? China decided to be really awesome at 5G and AI. I'm going to argue those are more important. And so we have this developing schism, two-party world, and the lockdowns happen, and we use the dollar as a weapon, which we always have, and we impose sanctions on Iran, and we impose sanctions on Russia. And what happens? China says, you know what, Russia, we'll buy your oil, just send it here, but you have to price it in renminbi. And so things start to go downhill and oil prices start to surge. And the administration here in the U.S. says, hey, Saudi, our friend, here's what I need. I need you to pump more oil to get the price of oil down so I can get reelected. And Saudi, for the first time, says, pound sand. Like, whoa. We cut a deal in 71 and you're supposed to do this. And they're like, we got new friends. So now Saudi is talking to Russia, China, about selling oil to them, pricing it not in dollars. And so I think this is a monster story.
Saudi Arabia definitely has new friends and is quite vocal about these new relations. Last week, during the annual meeting of global elites at Davos, Saudi Arabia's finance minister, Mohammed al-Jadaan, stunned everyone during an interview with Bloomberg TV. The finance minister told reporters that the kingdom is open to trading in other currencies. During the interview, he said, "There are no issues with discussing how we settle our trade agreements, whether it's in the US dollar, euro, or the Saudi riyal. Our aim is really to bridge the divide. Our aim is to be a force of communication, and we are encouraging communication, whether it is China, the US, or others." Last year, the kingdom also said it was considering accepting Chinese yuan for oil deals. This was just before it turned down President Joe Biden's requests for increased oil production in July. Let us know what you think about the strengthening relationship between China, Saudi, India, and Russia in the comments section below. Let's get back to Mark Yusko's interview as he discusses how China is positioning itself as a potential central power versus the United States.
Now we send massive amounts of money to Ukraine. I mean, last count, $116 billion. I mean, there are millions of kids that go to bed hungry every night in the United States, and we're sending money to Ukraine. I don't understand. So there's something about this, again, it's all about oil and gas. So ultimately, there's this conflict, and I'm not trying to minimize the conflict. There certainly is a conflict, but it hasn't escalated into World War III. It really has kind of been this de-escalating event. And to your point, almost like military theater instead of political theater, almost like military theater. And we got this Zelensky figure who is an actor, right? I mean, literally like an actor. Yeah. So we have comedians, right, who've been presidents of countries in Europe and actors. And of course, we had an actor in the United States too, Ronald Reagan. And we'll probably have one with The Rock, right, at some point. But it's just it's an interesting dynamic. But geopolitically, the petrodollar system got cracks in it. The yuan-based system is surging. And here's my thought on that, Francis, in the sense that if you think about world reserve currencies, right, since the 1400s, they've lasted about 80-ish years. First was Portuguese, which you think, how did Portugal have the world reserve currency? Well, they had the fastest ships. And back then it was all about the Navy. And then Spain took them over. They got their trees. So they had the fastest ships. Then the Netherlands then France took them over. Then the Netherlands took them over. And then half of the Rothschilds moved to Britain, invented the steamship, and suddenly they had the most powerful Navy. And so the UK had about a 90-year run. And then we invented nuclear, and now we have the most powerful Navy. But here's my contention. I believe the next world reserve currency won't be backed by naval superiority. It'll be backed by cyber superiority. The next war, I believe, will be fought with chips, not ships. And so that's why China is so focused on AI, 5G, chip manufacturing, advanced materials. They have 96% of all the citations in AI.
As these developed and emerging countries battle for the crown, a massive hole is opening up that only the cryptocurrency industry can fill. Suppose another country like China becomes a superpower and its currency becomes the world's reserve currency. In that case, the world will just be trading one dictatorship for a second one, which will probably be much worse. What do you think about Mark Yusko's interview? Please drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.